Tonight, 14 new COVID cases recorded in the far west as Whyalla continues to battle the outbreak. And a woman escapes injury after a car crash north of Port Lincoln.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Broken Hill has been gifted a donut day with no new COVID cases, but nearby Whyalla recorded its biggest daily jump in infections. But with testing clinics deserted at times today, we're being reminded the Silver City isn't out of the woods yet.
More boots on the ground in Whyalla as COVID-19 cases soar in the far west.
Make sure that you are protecting yourself. Make the assumption that actually you may be in the same room with someone who may be positive until we get to the bottom of this, and we will get to it.
Broken Hill has had a total of 4 cases in this outbreak with no new infections to 8 p.m. last night. During that period, 15 new cases were recorded in Whyalla. One of those is now located in Queensland.
So in effect, we have 14 physically present in our state.
The message remains the same for anyone who has visited Whyalla recently.
Get tested regardless of symptoms or not. We need to get on top of it. It continues to be an area of concern in the far west.
More than 1,700 tests performed between Friday and Sunday, yet clinics were almost deserted this morning.
The only way we can actually have some sort of plan around containment is by knowing who they are.
The positive news, New South Wales has now hit its 6 million vaccination mark. That comes with a bonus for those who are fully immunised.
And I look forward to making that announcement on Thursday or Friday this week as to what fully vaccinated people will be able to do.
Of those over 15 in the far west and Arana, almost 23% are fully vaccinated, the lowest in the state. Tomorrow, the vaccination clinic will relocate to the Civic Centre to allow more people to receive the jab while maintaining social distancing. Bookings will still be required. Lachlan Itter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Perhaps unsurprisingly, Broken Hill's lockdown looks set to drag on for some time, with case numbers continuing to climb. A complete reopening of internal borders also under a cloud. Here's Lachlan Itter with the details.
The Deputy Premier says there's likely 3 criteria that regional areas must meet before lockdown can be lifted. Our current stay-at-home orders are in place until Saturday, but final details of where lockdowns can be lifted are yet to be finalised.
Health will always stay on the side of caution. Their view would always be keep everything locked down for a longer period.
John Barilaro saying regional LGAs in New South Wales would likely need to go 14 days without a case, have clean sewage tests and not be neighbouring any area where there are cases.
I've actually asked my agency to map that out. What does it look like in the regions? Because I'll need that data when I'm fighting on Wednesday in Crisis Cabinet about releasing LGAs in the regions.
Some states have become hesitant to reopen to New South Wales, even when national vaccination targets have been met. The Doherty Institute saying opening up with tens or hundreds of daily cases is possible at 70% vaccination with more vigilant public health interventions.
If not at 70% and 80%, then when? Then when? We must make that move.
An official announcement on the future of Broken Hill's lockdown can be expected as early as tomorrow.
The driver of a car has escaped injury following a crash north of Port Lincoln yesterday. Emergency services rushing to the Lincoln Highway at Louth Bay after reports of a car crashing into a sign. Reporter Dylan Smith has the details.
It was here on the Lincoln Highway yesterday afternoon where the Mazda sedan collided with the road sign trailer. The mangled traffic sign left on the side of the highway today showing the nature of the crash. Police and CFS crews were called to the intersection of the Lincoln Highway and the Haven Drive just after 1:30 on Monday afternoon, after they received reports of a single car collision. The driver, a 21-year-old woman from Tumby Bay, is believed to have collided with the sign. Thankfully, she escaped any injuries, but was taken to the Port Lincoln Hospital for assessment as a precaution. Northbound traffic was reduced to a halt as the road was closed for a short time while the car was towed from the scene. Police also conducted their inquiries into what happened. The investigation into the circumstances surrounding the crash remains ongoing.
A man has been arrested following a break-in at Peterborough. At about 8:30 Sunday morning, police were called to a break-in at a local home, where they found a man hiding in the bedroom. The 44-year-old local man was allegedly found in possession of numerous stolen items, as well as rifle ammunition. He was charged with a string of offences and appeared in the Port Pirie Magistrates Court yesterday, where he was remanded to reappear in October. Still to come tonight, Port Augusta's community meets to discuss the future of a local service provider and Whyalla's new high school taking shape. Welcome back. Port Augusta's Aboriginal community have raised concerns about the services being provided at the local Pikawea Health Organisation. They gathered for a public meeting to discuss the issues and what solutions are available.
A vital organisation under scrutiny. Issues with Port Augusta's Pikawea Health Service Organisation, the focus of a public meeting. The Aboriginal community gathering to discuss their concerns.
I'd like to see Pikawea lift its game.
A number of issues were raised, including the lack of men's and women's health services being provided. The meeting's chair saying management is not listening to their needs.
The main points that have been covered at this meeting, is the total lack of confidence that the Aboriginal community have in the current senior management of Pikawea and the way that they are dealing with primary health care.
Community members also airing concerns about the lack of Aboriginal representation in the organisation's management team.
One of the biggest issues for us in this community meeting is the number of Aboriginal people who are not employed at senior management level.
And that a new board will be set up so that we can set up Pikawea the way it should be set up for our community.
Spencer Golf Nightly News reached out to Pikawea, but the CEO was unavailable for comment. Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Whyalla's $100 million secondary college is taking shape, with the final touches being put to the classrooms. Staff will soon have the opportunity to meet and work with each other ahead of the school's opening next year.
On track to welcome new students by the beginning of next year. Whyalla's new secondary college now taking shape, with learning spaces being finalised in the 3-storey main building.
I'm so happy with how everything is progressing and the fact that the actual learning spaces are coming to life and we actually see a school being created.
The college's website has gone live and subject counselling has started for students. Its curriculum guide is also written, with parents now able to view it. Teachers and other staff are now scheduled to conduct their first whole-staff professional development session early next month.
We just can't wait for January 31st.
Floor laying for the school's gymnasium now complete. External features such as the courtyard also starting to come together. The countdown is now on to its completion.
We're obviously entering the final stages of things. We're now in all our finishes trades pretty much across all of our work fronts, progressively finishing floors as we make our way through the building.
Families in Whyalla have every reason to be really excited about the great opportunities and possibilities that this new school is going to unlock for their children.
Work will soon begin on painting and laying the timber flooring in the college's theatre. Mark Zita, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Nominations are now open for 4 positions on South Australia's peak Recreational Fishing Advisory Council. The Minister's Recreational Fishing Advisory Council provides direct feedback and advice to the state government on the sector. Fishers who are passionate and willing to make a difference are being encouraged to put their name forward. The Minister for Primary Industry says fishing plays a major role in improving the economic and social fabric of the state. The federal government has announced its new agriculture visa to help support the rural and regional farming industry. The aim is to provide a long-term reliable workforce for industries vital for the nation's economy.
They say there's plenty of fish in the sea, but for Port Lincoln's aquaculture industry, that's not proving to be the case. The sector in desperate need of both skilled and unskilled workers to cater for demand.
We have all our people that working long hour because we don't have enough staff that to roster.
Help is now on the way. A new agriculture visa will soon allow migrants to bring their families to Port Lincoln, continuing the city's rich migrant history.
So rather than bringing people in for a short time, seasonal couple of years, here's an opportunity to settle people for the longer term.
The federal government aiming to grow agriculture and horticulture production to $100 billion by 2030.
New scheme that's been announced is one of the tools that we're looking to deploy in partnership with industry to try and fill that gap.
The Tuna Association says it's a win-win for the operators and the Port Lincoln community, while also boosting exports of local produce.
We're in this for the long term, and for people who are full-time employees, that's the way to develop the peninsula, and we're determined to do it.
Very good quality product here, but we have to, producing it and take it to the, global market.
The government says the visa is expected to be in place by the end of September. Dylan Smith, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. Port Pirie children encouraged to read aloud. And Whyalla's art gallery clearing the building ahead of this year's Hummock Hill Prize. South Australia's livestock industry is about to be beefed up with a multi-million-dollar injection from the state government. Up to 22 sheep projects and 10 cattle projects will be funded by the Sheep and Cattle Industry Funds, totaling $5 million. The red meat, wool and dairy sectors generate over $4 billion for the state's economy. The funding program was set up over 20 years ago by the state government. It'll soon be easier for Broken Hill tenants to keep pets, with a blanket ban to be lifted from tomorrow. The changes will allow property owners to still refuse pets if there's repeated damage of property, menacing behaviour, or persistent noise and odour. Australia has one of the highest pet ownership rates in the world, with 61% of households including a furry friend. Further information can be found through the Fair Trading website. Parents, children and families gathered at Port Pirie's Learning Together Centre for the official launch of Read Aloud. The initiative introduced in a new video, aiming to encourage locals to start using these strategies from birth.
Just 15 minutes a day will change your child's entire life. That's the message to parents and families as part of a Learning Together Port Pirie initiative.
We actually designed the Read Aloud project to try and support parents reading more to their children in homes.
This launch of Read Aloud has been so important, not just for Learning Together program, but for all of Port Pirie.
This video launching today, explaining the new Read Aloud program. Families encouraged to consider reaching for a book, establishing a routine, actively notice, name and wonder, and delight.
Grandmas, mums, dads, lots and lots of little kids. It was brilliant.
Coinciding with Book Week, it's hoped the initiative encourages parents to use these strategies with their children.
Anything we can do to encourage reading in the homes, and even as you would have heard on the video, it's not about teaching children to read, it's actually just about exposing them to the love of books.
Today marking the start of a new chapter.
We hope to be running small groups with families to actually model the strategies that are outlined in the brochure of how we actually can read to our children, because it doesn't always have to be reading the words, it can be noticing the pictures.
We're going to be sharing that with our whole education system, so it'll go to the department's media team, and hopefully in the very near future it'll be shared on a much broader scale, not just in the Pirie region.
Katrina Musson, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
With the Hummock Hill Art Prize more than a month away, the Whyalla Art Gallery is now making preparations for the event. Art aficionados are welcome to come to the gallery as they clear out space to make way for the entries.
It's not long now until the relaunch of Whyalla's top art prize. After the 5-year break, the Whyalla Art Group is now ready to welcome new entries from across the region.
We've had a great deal of interest, and so far that interest has ranged between people interested in putting in sculpture, paintings, digital art.
Participants will be in the running for the major prize of $1,500. Young artists also encouraged to enter in the Rotary Whyalla Young Emerging Artist Award. Digital art, the newest category in this year's competition.
It could range because it's really up to what media people are using, and they can print it onto canvas. They could actually submit it electronically and it can be shown on a monitor.
Winners will be announced at a function at the gallery on October 8. The group now making way for the entries that'll grace their walls, with local art buffs having the option to purchase some of their collection.
We've been clearing out our storage, and these paintings has come down and make an offer. And we encourage anyone who's interested in the art prize to come down and ask us about it.
Entries close at 5 p.m. on September 17. Mark Zita, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. We check all the weekend soccer and netball scores. And we'll have the weather details with Alex Sykes. Hello again. There were some tight games this week in our region's soccer and netball leagues, laying the groundwork for some exciting matchups heading into finals. With all the details and results, here's Edward McCarroll.
The weekend's excellent weather made for perfect playing conditions across the Gulf. With our region's soccer and netball leagues nearing the end of their regular seasons, no teams were giving an inch. We will start with Port Augusta Netball, and St. Joseph's pulled out all the stops to beat the Magpies 52-37. In the other game, Vikings went on to defeat Quorn 72-54. Railways remain on top of the ladder, but they are being closely pursued by St. Joseph's in second place. Over to Port Lincoln. Whyalla Rangers defeated Imperial 43-29, and Boston defeated Wayback by 16 goals. In Whyalla, YCW were too strong for Ravens 43-26, and ladder leaders Kiwi absolutely smashed Warriors. And in Port Pirie, Madison Caputo was named A1 Intersport Player of the Week. She earned the award after her performance in Celtic's domination of Central Risdon. The final score there, 50-39. Meanwhile, Blue Wren were too strong for Solomon Town. Moving to soccer now, and in Whyalla, Wanderers hosted Croatia at Swandale Park, the game ending in a 2-2 draw. There was a similar result in the weekend's other match, with Westlands and Lions splitting the points. In Port Lincoln, South Coast thumped Secole Masters. Matt Fagan, Kieran Hall and Leon Duns were named best on the ground for that match. And the Knights forfeited to the Lincoln City Raiders. In the NPL State League 2, the Northern Demons suffered a disappointing loss to Port Adelaide, the final score 6-2. Savoy meanwhile had a 3-0 win over Seaford. They remain in second place on the Division 2 ladder. And in Whyalla 8-ball, the Senators moved up into second place on the ladder after a win over Shan Thistle. Croatia narrowly defeated the City Slickers 5-4. And the Shamrocks defeated the Rifle Club. That's it for Sports Wrap. If you would like your team's results featured in our next bulletin, let us know through our Facebook page.
Time now for a look at what's happening in the weather across the region. With all the latest details on what we can expect, here's Alex Sykes.
Thanks, John, and good evening, everyone. Well, what a fine day it was across our region today, and it's heating up in the second half of the week. More detail on that in just a moment. From 3 p.m. today, Whyalla was partly cloudy and 14. Broken Hill was mostly sunny and also 14. And Clare had light morning frost and reached just 10 degrees. Looking further out across the region now, it was cloudy in Port Augusta and Port Lincoln. Port Pirie had light morning frost and was 14. Adelaide and Coffin Bay also were 14. Woodna and had the region's top top of 17 degrees. It was a degree cooler in Cooper Pedy, Kadina and Cleve were both 12 degrees. Taking a look at the satellite image now, cloud scattering across South Australia in brisk southerly winds is causing a few showers, mainly light. Skies are clearer in the north as a high pressure ridge moves over the region. Bright looking jet stream cloud crossing from the west is not bringing any rain. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Southerly winds 15 to 20 knots, seas 1 to 2 metres, and south to southwesterly swells 1 to 1.5 metres. To tomorrow's temperatures now, Port Lincoln a shower of 2 and 15 degrees, Cleve showers and 14, and Woodna partly cloudy and 15. Possible shower for Whyalla also 15 degrees, Port Augusta cloudy and 16, and Kadina will have a shower of 2 and 15 degrees. Possible afternoon shower for Port Pirie 16, Clare morning frost and then a shower or 2, set to top just 12 degrees, and Broken Hill will be partly cloudy to reach 15. Taking a look further through the week now, mainly fine day on Thursday, sunny for Cooper Pedy, partly cloudy across the rest of the region, temperatures forecast to be in the mid-teens. And no rain in sight on Friday with slightly warmer temperatures, partly cloudy across the Gulf, Cooper Pedy will reach 24, while Port Lincoln and Adelaide will get to a top of 17. The showers return for most parts on Saturday, cloudy everywhere else with slightly cooler temperatures to sit in the high teens to low 20s. And that's all the weather from me for tonight. John, it's back to you.
Sounding very nice. Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Tuesday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later, and we will be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. Until then, enjoy your evening.